Hello, and welcome to episode 14 of A Guardian Talks. In the same location as I was last time, and for me, we've just crossed out of October, Red October, and into November, which I have decided to call Green November for me personally. Hmm. Yeah. So for people across the world, it's still the last day of October. Halloween. There's a bit more festivities here in the streets and further down in the main party street here in Siem Reap. But it's not too hectic. Yeah, I wasn't sure 100% what to talk about in this Guardian talks really. Um, Again, like many times, there's been many thoughts, many things that have arisen in between episodes where I think, oh, I'll talk about that or I'll talk about that. But when it comes to recording, the impulse and the call to record just comes, and sometimes you're prepared, and other times you're not prepared. Such is life. C'est la vie. Uh, Not long ago, a young lady left. She's a local Khmer girl with fantastic English. Definitely was taught by an English teacher, because the accent she had when she talked with English, it was, I think, as well that the teacher that taught her must have been from Northern England, maybe, because there was definitely Northern twang in it. But anyway, she's coming on board with us as a sales rep. She currently works in a shop that sells chocolate. Um, she used to be in the chocolate production part, and they moved her up into front of house to sales. So she has to wear a nice dress and deal with the customers. Quite fancy chocolate. But she's a chocolatier at heart, and she was struggling. She's struggling. She is what in the old world would be labelled autistic, clearly. Obviously, we in the new world, especially in the world of GPMS, understand it as gifted or divergent, non-neurotypical, um, and she's struggling. And she was quite surprised at mine and Kurt, the my partner, the boss, the inventor of these cool asses. She was very surprised that our relaxed attitude towards the whole thing, no stress, no pressure, either make sales or don't make sales. The main concern or thoughts for us is your well-being, the well-being of everybody involved in this. And first and foremost, above all things, we want everybody to be happy. We want a business that everybody is happy in at every stage of the way. And very quickly she began to open up, as often people do in my presence. And a lot of things started to flood out, and became very clear the things that were playing on her. She has great worth as a being, but she has very low sense of self-worth. Questioning why and how, comparing herself against the other in the world, why she wasn't normal and why she couldn't be normal like everybody else, why everybody else seemed to be happy around her, where she wasn't able to find happiness or seem to get it, and she doesn't seem to get it. This was one of her things she was saying. I don't get it. I don't understand. Struggling with the relationship between herself and her family, and struggling with the idea that she has a very little sense of connection to them, and feeling that that was a wrong thing. A lot of the classic stuff that anybody watching this and anybody who's a Guardian or a GPMS or a light worker in general, it will either understand it personally or they will have come across it time and time and time again in their journeys. It is, I suppose you could call it an occupational habit. What's it? Occupational hazard of walking the path of truth and light. Until the day it isn't, of course. The day of the inception of GPMS. It was interesting because it was the first time I've come across a Khmer with English that was good enough for me to be able to actually read into that and to be able to see, understand what they were saying, and to be able to glean that she's one of us. You know, she's going through that negation period, a bit of a dark night of the soul, lost, but clearly she has a multi-dimensional mind, multifaceted mind, and simply struggling with trying to align that with the world that she is thrust into, that has been thrust upon us all to handle or to not handle as we so choose. And of course, it's indicative of the rest of the culture here, that level of lack of self-worth and the just taking on board blame from others, taking on board the judgment of others, and even though you might feel it not to be true, to take it on board anyway. Martyrdom. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's an older version of myself would say it's tragic, but it's only tragic until it isn't. It will change. Everything is changing now. And we're 5 days away from the big election, the big moment, which, one way or another, whichever way you want to slice it, and wherever you're coming from or wherever you're standing at this moment in time, is an event. It's a big event, and whether we like it or not, the world seems to be holding its breath for it. Obviously, in the in-between time between now and that day, and in the days following, there's going to be all sorts of things occurring all over the world. There's going to be seeming chaos, turmoil, confusion, but also clarity, because and transparency, really, because there has been a huge uptick in truth, awareness, awakening, fast and furious, left, right, and center, and mostly probably because they smell the fact that their necks are for a noose if they don't. Even the mainstream media, the legacy media, have started playing very different tunes, because they see and feel that the writing is on the wall. Now, they see it and feel that the writing's on the wall because of a Trump quote-unquote victory on the 5th. But obviously we know that it's far more than that. The writing on the wall, that's just one aspect and one symptom of that's. If it's part of the writing of the wall, it's merely a sentence, and the rest of the essay written on the wall is so much greater, and that is only literally a sentence in it. A lot of people are seeing that as the totality of the writing on the wall, and are acting accordingly from wherever it is they are. But obviously, we as GPMS guardians and other light workers around the world, wherever you may be, or they may be, understand it for no, it's just a sentence. And the essay that is written upon the wall is so much bigger and has so much more depth and meaning and significance, and it is in fact inevitably going to lead to the fully empowered self-sovereignty of all human beings on the planet. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only question that remains is the time between that moment and the moment we currently exist in. What is the length of that time? And what is the event occurrence level in between that? And to what degree or another is that going to be challenging, painful, suffering? I think Red October has been extremely challenging. It's been, on the one hand, extremely challenging on a personal level, extremely challenging on the larger picture, the global level, but at the same time as well, it's also led, on the other end of the spectrum, it's also led to greater levels of awakening, deeper levels of understanding, and that too is also true on the individual level and the global level. November, I already have the sense that November is going to be a very different qualitative month in the way it's going to play out, the way it's going to feel. It's strange because all the signals and all of the signs are pointing towards even more stress, even more intensity in certain things. And I'm sure probably some places around the world it will be quite probably for certain people it will, certain places it will. For I don't sense that. For I've already begun to feel an alleviation of the energies and the frequencies that were present in October. Now, my trust is that will ripple out from this humble micro into the perceived macro, at least my perceived macro, and then to everybody else's. This is co-creation after all. I suppose one of the biggest things that has gone on inside me is that I have stopped trying, and I have stopped reaching. I've stopped, I've just stopped. I'm doing things that I'm doing every day to tick along, but it's now no longer the sum of what I'm doing, or it's now no longer the high energy focus, you know what I mean? It's just that which I am doing. The attempt to try and gain something from it, or to use it as some sort of vehicle to a better place to be, has ceased now. I'm either successful or I'm not successful. The things I'm doing either result in what it's aimed to do or it doesn't. It makes no difference. It will all just lead to a happening, lead to a happening, lead to a happening, lead to a happening, etc. My choice of what to feel about each of those happenings has been fully returned to I, which is great. It's great. So I'm happy about that, insofar as I can be happy about that, or it needs to be happy about. It's cool. So yeah. And I feel that those around me and the things I'm engaging with around me are already benefiting from that, which is ironic, really. So it's the people and the things I'm doing and activities I'm engaging around me are benefiting from my lack of trying, from my lack of exerted effort. I don't feel pressured or pressure on myself to get that done, get that done, get that done. It's just, I'll do this now until I feel not to. Okay, I'm done with doing that now. Now I'll move on to this. I'll do this. And just going with how I feel in the moment. Always, of course, calling out to the universe to say, at any time I'm ready, at any time I'm willing. If you require something of me, if something is required of I, in order to assist the larger plan, the larger process, indicate it to me, bring it to me, and I'm ready to rock and roll. In the meantime, if what I'm doing is already contribution enough to that, simply by being I and doing what I am doing, then cool. There's no greater urge or desire in me to be more, to do more, to play a greater role, or to put myself in a position where I can believe or think that I'm playing, a greater role. I don't feel a sense of lack that I'm not fulfilling my potential anymore. It's impossible to not fulfill your potential. You fulfill your potential in every moment by being. And since we can't cease to be, we can't ever cease to fulfill our potential. What that potential looks like in each moment to moment is unique to that moment. So without judgment or reserve, there is no need to become embroiled, become entangled, to become doubtful as to whether you're doing enough or could be doing more. No, you're doing exactly as much as you need to be in that moment, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. And that is either learning something, contributing to something. It's pretty much those two. And both of those are kind of interlinked and interchangeable anyway. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. Interesting in a much, I feel anyway, it's going to be a much more interesting month in a way that is going to be, how shall I put it, more suitable and more aligned with the state of being and the state of mind of a guardian of GPMS, of a light worker. Resistance is going to be futile and far and few between, and lessening and lessening and lessening. The challenges are going to fall away, and anything that is a challenge won't be stressful in its nature. It will be the kind of challenge one would willingly and gladly put themselves forward for, or engage in for and enjoy it for the fun of it, for the pleasure of it, rather than a challenge of something that has to be done or has to be overcome from the sense of an outside external pressure, but something that is born from within our desire to be challenged as a source of growth in a way that does no harm and contributes to the greater whole. And the doors are going to open and the ways are going to be greased, so to speak, for that to happen with greater and greater ease, greater and greater levels of effortlessness. People are going to come into our lives who we are going to be able to affect, possibly and probably without even saying a word, just being in the presence of them, or them being in the presence of us in a state of being as we are, will be enough to pop them, or to get them moving in a direction, or to unravel and unwind, if that's whatever it is that's required. And other times it will be a conversation, and other times it will be a deep dive and a session. but the right people, the most appropriate and most aligned people to allow that process in that form to occur is what's going to be brought into our reality now. Um, the pressure is going to relieve itself from us. Um, I do believe there's still going to be parts of us, even if it's only a small part of us, kept in a slightly lower density and a slightly lower frequency to maintain that guide light for those who are still in deeper levels of density and just need that lighthouse, so to speak, that can be seen from where they are, which requires us to be, at least a small part of us, to be visible from there, which is a service that we do gratefully, with gratitude and with compassion and full willingness. At least certainly I do. For that is the case. So, yeah. Thank you for listening, as always, up to this point, if you have listened up to this point. I'm looking forward to doing some more Guardian talks where I can discuss ever increasing and ever intense events, which are all indicative and moving towards that all-out positive change that we desire. The ultimate being the full inception of GPMS. Initially, obviously, the recognition of it, and then the acceptance of it, and then the inception of it. Now, either that or we just pop into a new world, dimensionally shift, and one day we wake up and we're already in it. I've given up trying to perceive that. I've given up trying to even imagine what that looks like or feels like. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm okay with the process. I'm good either way. That's cool. So once again, thank you for listening. As always, love, light, and gratitude. And watch this space.